We're going to tell you a brand new story today. So let's get started. It began for me like any other day. I got up early, showered, said goodbye to Amelia while she was still asleep, and then I drove to my construction work. However, something surprising was waiting for me. That typical day took on remarkable proportions. I felt my phone buzzing in my pocket later that evening when I was working at the construction site. When I pulled it out, I noticed a message from Mike, my neighbor. "Dustin, your garage door is open," it stated. It seemed unusual to me because I could definitely recall shutting it. Mike was thanked, and if it was okay with him, I requested him to close it. I resumed work when he gave his approval. But my thoughts were consumed by the image of the open garage door. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but something felt off. I made the decision to head back home after eating an early lunch. My heart rate began to rise as I approached my home. I noticed a strange vehicle parked in my driveway. I had never seen a car like it. I experienced a horrible sense at that very moment. I pulled my pickup into a quiet spot on the street and walked silently up to my own house. To my astonishment, the side door leading to the garage was unlocked when I opened it. Nor was the door leading from the garage into the house locked. I found the most heartbreaking scene while exploring the home without my shoes on. My wife Emily was on all fours with an unknown man shoving her from behind. The room filled with my wife's moans. Her white complexion turned scarlet as the man continued to ram her by her waist, occasionally spiking her. Words of encouragement to hit harder were yelled by my wife. This whole thing transpired in front of me. Anger was eating at me. I had a dizzy feeling and thought I was about to pass out. I took a step back, pulled out my phone, turned off the flash, and took a couple photos of them cuddling. I took a quick video of them hanging out in my home. I recognized at that same instant that using violence would only get me into trouble. There would be retribution. Making Emily realize exactly what she was losing would be the finest way to exact revenge on her. It was time for a cunning scheme, one that would help me escape with my dignity unharmed. Having seen what I had done, I paused to gather my thoughts. With a strategy in mind, even though my heart felt like a lump of lead, I quietly left the house. I chose to get in touch with a lawyer acquaintance of mine. I sought the advice of my legal friend and told him all that had happened. We resided in North Carolina, so I needed some proof to see if I could get my alimony payments reduced. I showed my friend who is a lawyer the proof that I had. He wasn't a divorce attorney, but he helped me understand what I needed to do to protect myself and pointed me in the proper route. He gave me the address and phone number of a well-known divorce attorney who could help. He said that she was pretty good. I wasted no time in getting all the information out in front of the divorce attorney when we met. She clarified that although adultery might not affect the recipient spouse's alimony payments, North Carolina was a no-fault state. While working on the divorce paperwork, we talked about our future plans. Emily was completely unaware of what was going on. I made plans to see Emily at a nearby cafe with my lawyer a few days later. She asked, "Dustin, what's going on?" with wide eyes, looking shocked to see me there. Emily stammered in amazement as her look went from uncertainty to shock when I slipped the divorce papers across the table. "I don't understand, Dustin," she said. With my heart pounding, I turned to face her and said, "Emily, I think you do. I noticed you with him." Her expression went pale, and I could see her coming to terms with it. Her face was wet with tears as she apologized. I knew that was the right choice for me, even if it hurt. Emily eventually declined to sign the divorce decree. I had already left our house by then and had secured a modest flat on my own. I wasn't worried about that because Emily's parents owned the house. Her parents gave her money the day after she got the divorce papers so she could pay for a lawyer of her own. Her parents, nevertheless, had no idea why I was divorcing their daughter. I also thought Emily wouldn't tell them. That's why I made the decision to reveal Emily's parents the pictures and video I took of her with that guy in our house. I sent them a letter outlining my decision to divorce their daughter. Her parents failed to appear at the divorce hearing around 6 weeks later. My attorney advised me that she would make an effort to get spousal maintenance. Even though she thought it was unlikely to work, she wanted to update me. My wife's lawyer said I wasn't a good provider, and that I had been mentally abusive in court after hearing what she had to say. My spouse continued to tell lies. The judge had cautioned her to make sure her remarks were truthful, since lying in court may get you into problems, which is exactly what she was doing. Thankfully, the judge heard our case and gave me the divorce without giving her any maintenance. I have precisely 30 days to get the rest of my stuff out of the residence, according to the judge. There were just a few boxes left for me to pick up. 3 months into the divorce, I set up a time to get my belongings back. I spotted the same vehicle that I had seen that day parked in the driveway. It hurt to see his car at first, but it went away fast. This time I purposefully left the garage. The door opened to retrieve my items. I got a message one day from Emily requesting to get together, and she had sent it to me. Despite not knowing what she required, I gave in. Our first meeting took place in the same restaurant where I'd given her the divorce documents. She seemed like a pale echo of the confident, content lady she had once been, rather than the confident, content woman she once had been. She began to speak, explaining how hard life had been for her, saying she regretted the choices she had taken, and confessing how much she had missed me. I felt distant from her remarks and uninterested in her viewpoint. I didn't say anything during her whole speech. I turned to face Emily after that and wished her well in everything. But that period of my life is now behind me. She persisted in trying to get me to change my opinion, even after I made it obvious that I had made up my mind. She declared that she wanted us to get back together and that she was done with the other person. As I was walking out of the coffee shop, it occurred to me that I had won because I had reached a level of contentment inside myself, not because Emily was regretful or unhappy about the situation. My life had taken a turn for the better. I had discovered my inner power and continued living. I began over, putting my life back together little by little. There was no need for bodily harm or humiliation in front of others when seeking revenge. It was about advancing in life with greater fortitude and wisdom than I previously possessed. Emily's father died of cancer after about 7 months. He never once apologized for his initial outburst of wrath when he found out we were getting a divorce. She received an apology from her mother, nevertheless, and an invitation to the burial. I didn't have any issues with her mother, but I was about to back out of going. I was not the type of person who harbors grudges against other people. It is impossible to alter the past. The situation worsened over the next few weeks, and gossip started to circulate that Emily was getting into even more legal problems. One weekend, she was caught for driving while intoxicated, and her current partner was involved in objectionable acts, such as smuggling medicines out of her mother's house. How did I learn everything that I know? Though we were only married for 8 years before our marriage ended, her mother still occasionally contacts me, and she didn't pursue it, even though she would have been eligible for spousal assistance for around half of that period. Nevertheless, it did influence the decision that was made. I was dying to track down the other guy and let out some steam. My lawyer told me not to do it. I appreciate you seeing. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you like this video in order to see more tales like to it. Until we meet again.